Indian filmmaking is far more intense, far crazier, but I love it. It's energized. It's anywhere outside of India, it's Bollywood. That's all people understand Indian cinema for, Bollywood. No one gets what Tamil cinema is. I still think that Ranjith has something that he's got something else. He's on a different level. He's very much like an Indian Spike Lee in terms of social commentary and a little bit of Quentin Tarantino. And I keep annoying Ranjith. I know I'm annoying him because I keep saying, Ranjith, you should be doing big Hollywood movies. Ranjith, you should be doing big Hollywood movies. I'm in a Pa Ranjith film and I'm doing a lead alongside Vikram. So I suddenly became the object of attention, but it wasn't like, there's Daniel Caltagirone. It wasn't that, not yet. You know, they really worship him there. They revere him. Thank you for politically kind of highlighting our issues. This is another level. This I have never seen. The crew are amazing. Vikram is amazing. Pasupathy, Parvathy, Malavika, everyone is lovely. This film is going to blow people away. But you have to go to the cinema to watch it. This is my first Indian interview.
Hello and welcome to the News Minute. We are here with Daniel Caltagirone, who is starring in Thangalaan, directed by Pa Ranjith. Hello, Daniel.
Hello.
Lovely
to meet you, by the way.
Lovely to meet you too. This is your first film with an Indian director.
Correct.
What has the experience been like? How were you approached for this role?
I'll take your second question first. Approach for this role. I had a call from my agent in London saying that a renowned Indian director wanted to work with me, which I thought was a little bit strange. So I'm starting to think Indian director in Hollywood, because I've worked with one before, Sheikh Kapoor, as you all know, a very well-known Indian director in Hollywood. And I said, well, okay, right, well, what is the project? And she said, I'm going to send you the script. So I read the script of Thangalaan, and the first thing that struck me, and I was a bit sort of blown away by, was that my character was a leading role. Now, the reason I say that is because obviously, historically, in Indian cinema, yes, you've had British actors work over here before, but in terms of doing a leading role alongside a very famous Indian actor, Vikram, it was incredibly unusual. So I was struck by that. And then I really wanted to know who Pa Ranjith was. So I looked him up, started to look at his films, Kala, Madras, Saparte, and I was like blown away. I was like, this guy he's a very different Indian filmmaker. And we got on Skype, we talked, and I liked him straight away. We had this connection, and I said, yes, I'm in. I'm doing your film, which was just this leap of faith because I'm the only British actor in this film. So, and working in India, to take your first question last, working in India is amazing. It's one of my favorite countries in the world. The Indian people are amazing. They make me feel welcome at home. In fact, 3 weeks into filming, just before Christmas, Ranjith said to me on set one day, he just turned suddenly and said, you are one of us. And I was like, sorry, what do you mean? He said, you have Indian spirit. You have this strange... So that was the biggest compliment he could give me. So the process I found amazing, and working with all the Indian crew and being in India, this amazing place, I've absolutely loved.
Did you find the process different from what a Hollywood set might be like, though?
Yes. Yes.
How
absolutely.
different was it?
It's so different from a Hollywood set. I mean, Ranjith has got total control of his set. He has all the respect from his crew, but it's a very large crew, talking 350 people maybe. It's more kind of like organic, if that's the word. We go with the flow. We'll start shooting on top of a mountain and then work our way down into a valley and then into the forest. And then, whereas, in Hollywood, everything is super structured. So everything's broken up. You might end up doing the last bit first, the middle bit last. And it kind of, it's all in bits, and you're meant to be in the same place, but you actually are probably not in the same place. But Indian filmmaking is far more intense, far crazier. But I love it. It's energized. It's it's sort of seat of your pants. If that we have an expression, means like, you know, you go with the flow. It's, you don't know what's going to happen, and that I find really enjoyable.
This tendency to think of Indian cinema only in terms of North India and Bollywood, and then you had to learn that there was another language that exists. There are so many other languages. So how is that learning process like, and coming into this space that was not perhaps what you came in expecting?
Huge learning curve for me. The moment, actually my agent phoned me up, she was like, "Oh, I think this might be a Bollywood movie," and I was like, "A Bollywood movie? Don't ask me to be in a Bollywood movie." And I thought, this is amazing because I love Bollywood movies. I'm a bit of a, but you know, very quickly, obviously, when I started to look up about Pa Ranjith, I realized, oh, hang on, this is a Tamil movie, and this is not Bollywood. This is something completely different. And everyone had to explain to me what the sort of the differences between different regions in India and the politics behind it, and that Pa Ranjith is a social commentator, someone who cares deeply about his community, and this is not Bollywood and singing and dancing, and this is a gritty, visceral experience about commentating on what the life of Indians are like in Tamil region, in the Tamil region. So that was a big education for me, because anywhere outside of India, it's Bollywood. That's all people understand Indian cinema for, Bollywood. No one gets what Tamil cinema is. When I got here, Ranjit explained to me the kind of the politics of it, and then everyone else around. But I was blown away. I was truly blown away by his work. He's very much like an Indian Spike Lee. That's how I see him. He reminds me very much of Spike Lee in terms of social commentary, and a little bit of Quentin Tarantino.
How was the easing into his politics and understanding the layers? Because his films have those many political layers. So what was that like?
I have to say, easy for me, and the reason being is since I was a child, the one thing that has always been something that I've deeply disliked or felt passionately about is injustice. Injustice could be from the tiniest thing to like, oh, they stole that from me, to like the largest thing about, politically how, certain areas are ignored and people are below the poverty line. It happens in England also. So I understood implicitly straight away when Ranjit was trying to explain to me about, he just said that word to me. He said injustice. And I was like, yeah, I get it. Injustice in the region, injustice in terms of how maybe nationally this region is treated, how all people want to do. And I've met many many people from this region in India, and their big thing is just like, all we want is just to be not ignored, just to be able to put food on the table, look after our families, and have just good infrastructure. They're not asking for diamonds and gold and mansions. They're asking just to be taken care of, education for their kids. So all these things were just were very clear. How Ranjit explained it to me was really clear. It wasn't like this kind of, I don't understand what's going on.
Speaking of diamonds and gold, did you know about the KGF gold mines before you got the script?
No.
And once you got the script, was it something you went and read up on?
Yes, I did my research, and I did my research into my character, which I can't talk about. I'm so sorry, but you'll have to go to the cinema to watch it. So I hadn't heard of KGF. I knew about the history briefly about gold and India and the British extracting gold from Indian territory, but I didn't really know specifically about the history of KGF. I read up about it very quickly, and I realized that it transformed that area really fast. And actually, when you go to KGF, you see like the remnants of these buildings that once upon a time you thought, wow, that must have looked amazing, but now they're just crumbling. And it was, the British took all the gold. Then obviously they left with independence, and what was left behind, wasn't a community that was enriched. It kind of got left behind, and it didn't really get to reap the benefits of what the people who mined the gold were able to do. So that was part of my research, to find out what really happened in the region, and why it changed so dramatically when the British left.
And I mean, so this was part of your preparation for the role, but
Yeah.
there are also physical transformations that you had to go through on drawn aspects of your own life. So what was that like?
Physical transformations were this beard. This beard, I don't carry a beard, but I had to pass it to me. I need you to grow a beard. I need you to grow a really big beard. And I was like, really? I've grown beards in films before, obviously, in The Tudors, so I had a big beard, etc. But the one thing was, I had to have a certain look. My beard was bigger than this yesterday, but we had to cut it down for a different scene. But it was mainly the beard, and the physicality was about the fact that my character might have had some military background, which I explained to Ranjith when I first spoke to him on Skype, that I was in the military and I have sort of military pedigree in my blood. So he was very happy about that. So I was already prepared in that sense. I didn't really have to do research about what does it mean to be in the military, how do you conduct, and especially in that period where now if you see how we're all sitting, we kind of sit like this. It's casual. We're kind of relaxed. We chill out. But in the 1880s, 1890s, a man from Britain would be like, the body, the kind of how you held yourself, head held high. You have this presence when you walk into a space. So Ranjit was very kind of like, look, you've got to think about when you were in the military. Try and think of that presence when you walk into the space in the scene, because it's very different to how we hold ourselves now. So that was kind of the preparation.
So have you come out a changed person working with Ranjit and his politics, his idea of filmmaking? What is the transformation, if any, that has happened?
Yeah, you can't work with Ranjit and not be transformed. He is infectious. I mean, his passion for the people in the Tamil region, and his love, and his desire to see injustice removed, and people and have people kind of have a life that is decent, and a life that is sort of the life that they should have in terms of proper education for their kids, food on the table, made to feel respected, proper infrastructure in the region, all these things. Politicians not stealing, which is the big one. I've been blown away by the stories I've heard, but people, and I have to say this, and this is probably the case for all of India, but I've experienced it obviously in this Tamil region. But you have people I've met who are really, really poor, have nothing, and they still want to offer me something. They still want to give me something. They have nothing, and that for me blows me away. The soul, they have this incredible souls, beautiful people who, I can't. Yeah, of course I'm affected. I cannot help but be affected, and I'm like, no, it's okay. But then I realize if I don't take it, then I'm going to be insulting them. But it's like they're giving me their. You understand? Do you see what I mean? Their food, their drink, and I think India as a whole has the most incredible people living in it. Indian people are amazing. That's my thing. So I find the spirit, the generosity of Indian people everywhere I go is incredible. But yes, to answer your question, I have been transformed, and I've been made aware of and KGF also. um, the how the English came, took all the gold, in effect plundered it all, and then left. Obviously, after independence, you know about this stuff, but when you really know about it, when people tell you about it and what it left behind, this kind of, a town that's lost all its energy and its vibrancy, because they didn't leave gold behind for everyone. So yes, I'm transformed. Yes, it's transformed.
Would that also be like a political shift for you, as in the Daniel who came in to start filming? Or would you say your politics has kind of also moved in a certain direction post this film?
Well, yeah. I mean, I can't, forgive me. I can't remember if I said about injustice when I was, about. I've always felt this sense, even when I was a child, about injustice.
But has it been like a historically looking back kind of a transformation that is also a political shift that has also happened?
Yeah, absolutely. You can't help but not be. I mean, this is not anything that the British government now doesn't recognise, and they absolutely recognise all of it. And but actually being here and seeing what in these communities, what actually happened was kind of really eye-opening. And of course, you have a different perspective on things. You don't just give sort of, I don't know, you don't sort of just give lip service to things. You're made to think about things here, especially with Ranjith. He makes you think about what is it that happened, what is happening right now, and how can that change. So now I'm constantly thinking, I keep bumping into people and saying, infrastructure, we need infrastructure. I'm like, I don't even live here. But they make you feel like you live here. You make you feel like you're one of them. So yeah, I've become engrossed in it. And, I feel passionate about it.
This is a big role as a British actor, playing one of the lead roles, which is rather unusual in cinema across Indian industries. So what's that like?
I didn't really realise the significance of it until I arrived in India. Well, that's a little bit of a lie, because when I read the script, like I said, when I read the script in London, I'm like, okay, is this going to be like the evil English guy who just pops in and pops out one of the small roles? Because look, is it unusual for a British actor to work in India? No. Is it unusual for a British actor to have starred alongside a famous Indian actor? No. Is it unusual for a British actor to do a lead role alongside a very famous Indian actor, Vikram? Yeah, that's unusual. That is unusual, because usually, Indian cinema in general, it doesn't matter what region, is about very specifically about Indian issues. It's not about, I don't know, where you would have like a story where you'd have 2 or 3 Western actors playing leads alongside. It doesn't, I mean, unless I'm completely ignorant about it, I haven't seen
There are
it.
a couple of films, but
Maybe a couple. But the role that Ranjit has given me is just incredible role. And to work alongside Vikram, Vikram, who is not just a wonderful actor, but more importantly, he's just such a wonderful human being. He's just lovely, friendly to everyone, made me feel very welcome. And I have to say, so I'll let you into a little secret. This is to the public, right? When you see these interviews, you're going to see millions of these interviews, and these amazing interviewers say, what was it like working with all the cast? And actors say, oh, it was amazing. It was so amazing. We all love each other. 90% of the time, they're lying. All right? So just so you know. So next time you see an actor go, oh, they were amazing, the director, they're lying. Everyone usually hates each other. But I have to say, and I mean this, I genuinely mean this, whether because Ranjit sets the tone of what it's like on set, the crew are amazing. Vikram Chian is amazing. Pasupathy, love Pasupathy also. Parvathy, another Indian actress that you all know. Malavika, everyone is lovely, really nice. We all are a family. We all get on really well, and I think that's probably down to who Ranjit picks. He doesn't want to pick. I think that's down to Ranjit, who just. It's not just about picking good actors. He wants to pick. It's the sensibility of what's the actor about. That's why he was determined. Even though he'd seen my showreel, he knew what I'd done, and my body of work was very extensive, and he knew who I'd worked with internationally. But that wasn't really important to him. What was more important, yeah, important to an extent, but what was more important was what was I like as a character. So he had to, sort of have that meeting with me on Skype or whatever it was, Zoom or whatever. And so he had to see what I was like. So that comes across in terms of being on that set is just a great experience. So I am telling the truth. We all love each other. We really do.
So do you see a difference between how cinema is embedded into everyday life here in Tamil Nadu, where it plays such a massive role, and how it's embedded in the UK or in the US? Like just
it's
the relationship with cinema.
Two extremes. Like, I am absolutely blown away by the reaction to Ranjit and Vikram, for example. So we have very famous directors, very famous actors. And we have the kind of hero worship, right? So people might scream if Tom Cruise comes down the road, or people might be like, "There's Steven Spielberg, look," or a pop star, it's that kind of thing. But this is another level. This I have never seen, because one of the first couple of weeks, we were in the middle of nowhere. I can't even remember where we were, but we were in the middle of nowhere, and it was the end of day shooting, and I opened my trailer, and I stepped out of my trailer, and I closed the door again, so I thought, am I imagining this? I thought, no, this can't be. I opened the door again, and there was about 1,000 people outside the trailer who had come to pay their respects to Ranjit and Vikram. But Ranjit has this phenomenal following and respect in the south of India, which is just, it's more a thing of, it's not just, oh, Ranjit, we like your movies. It's about thank you for politically kind of highlighting our issues. They really worship the man. They revere him. Now that's different to being like, oh yeah, there's Tarantino. Hey, hi. This is more like reverence. And I remember, like I said, like 1,000 people outside my trailer. And I was like, nobody knows who I am, because I'm, and I could just be like, oh, this is great. I don't have to, I can just walk up and look what's going on, and no one knows who I am. But that didn't last long, because, Indian film goers are just so plugged in. They want to know who's who, who's doing what. And very quickly it became apparent that I was doing a lead alongside Vikram. So one day I opened that door, I thought, they're all back again for Ranjit and Vikram, and it turned the other way, and I was just, I was mobbed, and I thought, oh my goodness, but it's not so much, it wasn't about me, it was about the fact I'm in a Pa Ranjith film, and I'm doing a lead alongside Vikram. So I suddenly became the object of attention, but it wasn't like, there's Daniel Caltagirone. It wasn't that. Not yet, people. I'm so sorry. No. Maybe one day.
What kind of roles would you hope for in other Indian cinema industries, if that does happen?
Oh, that's a question. Because I keep being asked, would you work in India again? Because I have to say, if I'm being honest, I just thought this was a one-off gig. Because I always work, with Hollywood productions and European productions. And I just thought, oh, it'd be interesting to work with an Indian director, someone who's really interesting and really talented like Pa Ranjith and Vikram, obviously. But since I've been working here and fallen absolutely in love with everything Indian, I'm now thinking about, would I do another Indian film? Would I work with Pa Ranjith again? 110%. Yes, any day. Pa called me and was like, do you want to do it? I was like, yeah. Yeah, but no, yeah, I'll do it. Other Indian directors now, I would also be open to working. I'd have to see their work. I'd have to see what they're trying to say. But yes, of course I would. I love this country. I would happily have live in India if I had to. Happily, very happily.
And how do you see Indian cinema opening up to more Western audiences? Do you see that this film might be something that goes to a far wider international audience, perhaps?
Can I make a prediction?
Sure.
I know this is gonna be on tape, so I can't get out of this prediction. But this is how confident I am. I think I've mentioned Pa Ranjith's style, right? That it has the Western elements in it, and I keep annoying Ranjith. I know I'm annoying him because I keep saying, Ranjith, you should be doing big Hollywood movies. Ranjith, you should be doing big Hollywood movies. Your stuff, like Spike Lee. It's like, but I'm gonna make a prediction. This film now, because I've seen some of the rushes, I've seen, I've sat there watching stuff on the monitor or watching playback. This film is going to blow people away. It's not just the story; it's the photography, the acting, the direction. Obviously, the direction, but this one I think might be the one where Ranjith carries Indian cinema into the West. I think this might be the one. Now, I know that there are some other films right now that I'm not going to mention that, potentially doing well in Western cinema, but I still think that Ranjith has something that he's got something else. He's on a different level, and he has something that I think a lot of Indian directors might struggle to kind of emulate. And I genuinely, so my prediction is that Thangalaan is going to be not just huge in India, but it's going to get the interest of the West as well. That's my prediction. So you can play this back later and say, oh, no, you didn't. But I'm confident about that.
On that note of prediction for Thangalaan, we wish you the best. We wish Ranjith the best. And thank you for joining us, Daniel.
It's an absolute pleasure. And I have to tell you people, this is my first Indian interview. So this is my first. This is the one I'm going to remember. So thank you.
Thank you.